Hey everybody, so the talk of the hockey world today was that finish between San Jose and St. Louis last night in overtime where the referees missed a blatant hand pass by Timo Meier, which directly led to Erik Karlsson's game-winning goal in overtime. And that has just been, what everyone is talking about. And I was streaming last night when it happened. If you were watching, you saw my reaction at the time. And it is just unbelievable to me that an NHL game in the playoffs of that importance could end that way on a blatant missed call. In the era of video review, where absolutely everything is on camera, there's a million camera angles for every which way, everything is there to be looked at, and this is not a reviewable play. Now, listen, I am not a huge replay guy. I am not somebody who wants the game slowed down over and over and over again so every little thing gets reviewed. Referees are human. Referees make mistakes. That's the way it is. That's sports. Get over it. However, in the playoffs, in overtime, when it is a goal on the line and potentially a series on the line, how can that not be reviewable? Listen, under the current rules, the referees did what they could. They obviously missed the call. It was blatantly a hand pass. They didn't see it. They got together. They all talked about it. Nobody was willing to change the call on the ice of a goal. So that was it. The game was over. Under the current rules, that's the way that it had to happen. It's not a reviewable play under the current rules. But my issue with this is how is that not a reviewable play? I mean, talk about guaranteed rule change for next year. That has got to be rule change number one for next season, is that you have to be able to review that. When it comes to goals in overtime in the playoffs, every single thing should be reviewable. There should be nothing that's not reviewable about it. You have to get the calls right at this stage of the game. When it's overtime and when a game and when a series and maybe even a team's season is on the line, you have to get the call right. You cannot let a mistake like this cost a team a game. It just cannot happen. And that's exactly what happened last night. St. Louis got screwed. St. Louis got absolutely screwed last night. And that cannot happen again. An NHL game cannot, in the playoffs, cannot end like that. It can't happen. These games are too important. They mean too much. There is too much on the line. We are in the Western Conference Finals. This series is for a chance to go to the Stanley Cup. What these players and coaches and teams have been dreaming about, fans have been dreaming about, a chance to play for the Stanley Cup. And you're going to let a blatantly wrong call like that potentially change this series. It's unbelievable. It cannot happen. That cannot happen. So I am not a huge replay guy because I think it really slows the game down. And I think it's, overall, they spend way too much time on ticky-tack little stuff with replay. But in overtime, in a playoff game where the game is literally on the line, you have to be able to review everything. If it's something that blatant and that obvious that it indirectly leads to the goal, you got to be able to review that. And listen, obviously the rule needs to be changed for next year. There needs to be, make that reviewable. However, I would make it so it's only in the playoffs and it's only in overtime. It's, you don't have to put in a whole new rule now where literally everything is reviewable all the time. And now we're going to have, every time somebody scores a goal, we're going to be going to review for something that somebody tries to point out. We don't need that. Regular season, there's 82 games in the regular season. No, don't have it in the regular season. Don't have it even any time, even in the first three periods. If it's in the first three periods, you've got a chance to get back and get that goal back and score. And human error is part of sports. That's just the way it is. You're never going to get human error completely out of sports. You just got to deal with it, suck it up. However, this rule should be written so that in overtime of playoff games, you can look at something like this. You can look at whether the puck was played with a high stick. You can look at whether the puck went out of play into the netting and then back in, and then the team immediately scores after. You should be able to look at absolutely anything in overtime in the playoffs, because we cannot have games ending on blatantly missed calls like this. It's absolutely ridiculous and needless in a time where we have the technology to have all these different camera angles, take all these looks at it, literally talk to the league office in Toronto, come back, work out a call between the league and the refs on the ice, figure out what happened. You have a million ways to look at it. Get the call right. When it's the game literally on the line, get the call right. And that should take precedent over anything else, because it was ridiculous. I was in shock watching that replay over and over and over again, and NBC showed it over and over and over again. Timo Meier bats the puck away, goes right to Gus Nyquist's stick. Nyquist passes it to Karlsson, and Karlsson with an easy goal to end the game. And the Blues were furious, as they should be. They should be furious about it, because they got screwed last night. Maybe if overtime continues, then San Jose goes on to win anyway, and it's a pointless thing and it doesn't matter. But maybe the Blues win, and then it's St. Louis with a 2-1 series lead, with Game 4 on home ice and a chance to take a commanding 3-1 lead. This could completely change the series. If San Jose wins Game 4 and takes a 3-1 lead rather than having it be 2-2, this could completely change this series and in a way determine who goes to the Stanley Cup final. Mistakes like this cannot happen in the playoffs, especially in overtime. It's just too much is on the line. And I can't believe that in this era of technology and video review, we still have things like this happening. So my idea for this is the rule change. You've got to have a rule change where, again, I would limit it specifically to overtime of playoff games. Regular season, you have 82 games. You have plenty of chances to make up for it. Even in the first 3 periods, the game goes on. Human error is part of it. But when it's literally a goal that ends the game, the game is over as soon as that puck crosses the goal line. You have to be able to review that and make sure that it was a good goal. Because if not, I mean, that's just it's inexcusable this day and age. There's too much technology out there. It's too easy to look at and get the call right. For you not to, where the stakes are as high as they are in the NHL playoffs in overtime. So that needs to be fixed for next year. Obviously, usually it takes something like this happening before a rule change like that is thought of, but I am all on board now with making it so that any game-ending goal in the playoffs or overtime goal in the playoffs automatically should get reviewed by the league and, made sure that it's a good goal before the teams are done, because you cannot have teams getting screwed out of games like this. And again, we don't know what would have happened had that overtime continued. Maybe San Jose would have won anyway. Maybe St. Louis would have won. Who knows? We will never know, because the goal was counted even though it should not have been a goal. And that's really frustrating and really disappointing. And I'm not even a Blues fan. I'm a Bruins fan. This game, that game really had no... I didn't care who won that game, but as a hockey fan, it is disappointing and ridiculous that a game ends that way in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we got to get that fixed for next year. because it's inexcusable. But that was a ridiculous end to what was an excellent hockey game. That was a very, very fun hockey game to watch. San Jose took the 2-0 lead. The Blues got one back. Then San Jose took a 3-1 lead. Blues came all the way back to take the 4-3 lead. Then Logan Couture tied it up with about a minute left in the game, and we went to overtime. And it was a fantastic hockey game. So much fun to watch. A great game. And it ends on a goal that should not have been anywhere near a goal. And that leaves you with a sour taste in your mouth. A great game like that ended in such a garbage way. It's unbelievable. So hopefully that gets fixed in the future, and we stop giving teams playoff wins on goals that were blatantly not goals. That's got to be reviewable. It would have taken 2 looks from the referee for them to blatantly see that was a hand pass and change the call. That would have taken 30 seconds. Look at it twice, go, yup, hand pass, no goal, overtime continues. Would have taken 30 seconds. Instead, the Sharks have a 2-1 lead, and the Blues go home very, very angry and very upset with what happened, and rightfully so. So that's my opinion on that. I think it's unbelievable that this day and age we have games ending that way. And everything in overtime has got to be reviewable if it's leading to a goal like that. Anything else is just unacceptable. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.